Hey, we're live finally.
All right.
Welcome to the Talking Grid. Isn't that a funny name?
Hey, everybody. Did you notice something different this time? That there's not squealing feedback coming from my computer?
Yes,
hmm
finally. After how many webinars, Jerry?
Realistically, like 6. So it wasn't like it was 7. It was only 6. So
All right, how have you guys been?
Good.
strong, lost in the collection of days like everybody else, but good. You
True.
know, what
Yeah.
does 9 to 5 mean anymore? It's basically just that's when you can kind of expect other people to be online, but it's all weird. But
True. It's all weird. Right. And we're all in this together. The whole world for the first time is like more connected than ever. It's so
yeah.
weird. All right, so today we're getting together to talk about a few updates that we've made recently, mostly on the platform side of things. So we just launched, it's not entirely new, it's not an entirely new concept, but the new LandGrid Enterprise white label solution. We launched it, we have it up on our site on landgrid.com/enterprise. We've always kind of done, these sort of custom sites, but I guess this is the first time where we want to work with more customers and make sure that we build this at scale for as many people as possible and customize it to the level that they want. It could be very little to a fully customized, branded, logo-filled, and a custom white label LandGrid app to survey alongside of it. So yeah, we launched that, and then we recently launched the self-serve team accounts, and that's going to be our focus today. We want to talk about that and the different use cases and why a white label solution might make sense to you and why it may not. If it doesn't, then there's other things that we can do with you. And then we can probably end this with our upcoming updates.
Sounds good.
All right, so let's talk about the white label then.
Can I tell a little story? I can tell like some background. I'll move into the light a little bit. So I would say over the last 5 years or so, as we've been building GIS software for parcels, we have done a number of large projects where we have fully customized our software for the customer and just the job that needed to get done. If it was like a big public property survey, or if it was like just focused on the data of a particular customer, they wanted their branding and their project name on it. We've done that, but we've more so focused on like, how do we have a really great off-the-shelf product that anybody can just pay a reasonable subscription for, and then they get this really tight GIS tool that's kind of like one size fits all. And I think that was a really important phase for us to go through. And then over time, we just keep kind of hearing and feeling that for a lot of our customers, and the broad buckets, for these customers, it's usually a business, or it's a government, or it's like a big community development organization or network. They really, really want our software to live on their domain name, to have their branding and theming, to have their description of what they're doing and trying to accomplish. And they want to have the interface and the data customized so that it's like only the things that they keep returning to over and over again. So like, for example, on our software right now, we always start with a list of top owners. And it makes sense because for most people, top owners is like an interesting insight about an area. And you can go, from there, you can filter for different things, but it's like, that's how it always starts. And the deal with white label is we've now made it a lot easier. And our engineering team, our development team, has made it a lot easier so that we can affordably customize all those various elements of the software so that it's all about the customer. And that means having the LandGrid software on your own domain name with your own look and feel, and have it really be all about you. And if there's something in the data you don't need, we can crop it out. If there's data that you do have that you want on there, we can put it in and focus on that. But it's really exciting because now it can be software kind of powered by LandGrid, but you might not even notice it because it's so about the customer and their needs. So that's I don't know if that was long or short, but that was an attempt to craft the shape of what we're doing with white label and why.
Yeah. Basically giving our customer the option to make the LandGrid platform entirely their own.
Yep.
It can be private, put behind a password for their internal use, or it could be a public facing site. We have done those before.
Yep.
So yeah, whatever the customer wants it to be, they can get their logo, they can try and customize the colors, the branding of it, make it look like it's their own platform. So I think this is a good segue to go into, all the use cases that we discussed, Nick, which will come out as a blog post early next week, about why this might make sense for the different verticals and how we can help.
Yeah. I think, I don't know, I would echo like a lot of what Jerry, you said, because like, I think there's a large, like, two things I think that the enterprise white label does that I think is useful for most people, right? Like one of them is all the things that you talked about with branding and domain name stuff, right? So you can have your own URL, you can have, it customized to your color scheme and your logo and all that stuff. But like the other thing that I think is really interesting that we've seen increasingly, and you've seen it, I've seen it, is that people, like we provide like a lot of really interesting data, but for a lot of people, they want to get from like A to B, right? Like they want to get from here is a whole bunch of data to here is the insight that I need.
Right.
And so like that, I think is really like an exciting part of this, where you can say, it's not like drinking from a fire hose and there's all this parcel data. It's like, I'm a realtor. I'm interested in sales values, whether they're going up or down in a specific geography. And we can provide that in just sort of a dashboard format, right? Like you can see that, you can go to it, you can have your intern look at that, right? Like it's a very understandable thing. And there are so many use cases that I won't bore you guys or like anybody really with all of them at once, except maybe on the blog post. But I think like it's equally applicable, right? If you're a land bank, if you're trying to identify tax delinquent properties so that you can snap them up, or like if you have a property pipeline that you need to have online, right? Like maps and parcel data are super essential to that. And being able to show that and sort of like articulate what you're talking about on a map is really powerful. So, I think the branding is definitely a big part of it for some people, but for a lot of people, I think the other side of it is really this, like, we can, before I think we were really like, the analogy I use a lot is like a Lego set, right? Like you can build almost anything that you want. If you're looking at parcel data, you can find it and, analyze it with what we provide. But now we're bridging that gap, and we're actually also providing like the solution to see the insight without you having to do a bunch of steps. Like we can really take you from the beginning of the idea all the way through to articulation, which I think is awesome. So I'm stoked about it.
That's an important point, because I think it's fair to say, and it's kind of interesting because everybody, when you have a software project and you're working with data, you kind of build from different directions. You can build like really granularly and have lots of data you can play with, or you can kind of build like a big broad interface that maybe is more impressionistic and gives you an insight or a concept quicker, but you can't do as much with it. And we sort of, by mapping every parcel in the country, we necessarily got deep into those Legos at first. It was like, oh my God, we have so much data about all these 150 million things. And we focus less on like, what's the quick insight? Like when I go to my city, just give me the breakdown. I mean, we do stuff out of the box, like the top owners, but we never really broke it down before. Like, this is zoning and land use. This is occupancy and vacancy. This is like average price, or this is stuff from the census. And like, here it all is in a view. And so both for the white label, and then also we're excited to bring more of that to Pro and Team too. Just start to associate LandGrid not only with having all that data behind the parcels, but like, go check out the city or the neighborhood here, and here's a really sweet dashboard that just kind of gives you those fast facts.
Yeah,
totally agree.
So that's another upcoming feature, actually, being able to derive insights from the data.
Yeah, and that's something where if people have ideas for that, because for the white label, we can make those insights anything you're interested in. For like, Pro and Team and out of the box, again, we're going to like pick what we think are the most interesting. But if anybody has like broadly applicable, you want to see the breakdown of property values or of tax debts or of, occupancy by certain property type, those are all things that we can kind of preload. Now we got to make choices about how we want to curate those things.
Yeah, I was thinking too, and I mean, I don't know, this is sort of spitballing, but I think one of the things that'd be interesting, right, is like if you're moving
the talking grid, Nick.
Yeah, here at the talking grid, that's what we do. Right? But I think it's really interesting to think about, like, so we're moving from like a Lego set where you can build your own thing to like customizing it and making it less general and more specific to what you're specifically trying to do, which I think is really cool and important. It would be cool too to see if like maybe there's like tranches, right? Where you're like, okay, so you sign up for like a team account, right? And you say, I'm interested in real estate. And so those are the 10 metrics that you automatically get. And then you can take it from there, right? I'm interested in nonprofit work. So maybe I'm more interested in tax delinquency and transfers of ownership or something like that. You know, and then customizing from there.
No, but that's how we are planning it. So for team, we get to pick and choose, you know, the most relevant insights. We definitely put a limit on how many, but they can pick and choose. But for pro, we will come up with the ones that make most sense.
Sure. Yeah. No, I think it's good.
So yeah, exciting insights. White label insights. What else, Sahana? We want to talk more about team and self-serve on team things.
Yeah, so self-serve team. So we've always had team accounts. And when we say team, we mean basically what most companies call a corporate account, essentially a multi-user account, so that you can get more people in your organization, in your team, to be able to work out of one account without having to share login information. So essentially independently work and collaborate together on one account. So that's what team account allows you to do. And we now have it in a self-serve format. So if you come to Regrid.com/plans, which is basically our sign up page where you can find all of our subscription tiers, you can sign up for team on your own. So right now, the default that we allow is up to 10 members, which usually for a good team works very well, because not everyone in your organization is probably going to be using the Regrid tool. Just the folks that are most relevant to you know, the GIS and mapping work would probably want to get onto it. So this is now available, so anybody can come. You can you can add members to your teams. You can control the access permissions depending on how much access to the data and the features that different members of your team need to get, and can sign up on your own. That said, we know that one size doesn't fit all. You know, there are organizations of different sizes and you work on projects of different scales. So you can always reach out to us in case you want more than 10 members in your team account, and we can work with you. Or if you want fewer members in your team account, we can work with you as well. And we're hoping to make that part self-serve soon as well. Hopefully in the next few months, we want to get to a point where you start off as a pro user and you decide you like this tool. This is very useful to you, might be best to get your entire team on. You can start adding the number of seats on your own. That's still not built in yet. So right now we have a default for 10 members, $250 a month for the entire team, not per seat. Entire team. The entire account is only $250 per month. And then you get up to 10 members, and feel free to email us at team@, and we can customize it for you further.
Yep. And if you have feedback on this, let us know. But the general idea, I think this makes sense, right, guys? I mean, like, after lots of evolution, you've got a free viewer. Anybody can come to our site, use our software for free to look stuff up. If you're an individual that wants the software account, you can get a pro account, all good. If you want multiple people in your pro account to work together, you get a team account. You can grow the number of seats in that, use the off-the-shelf software, great price. And then if you want it customized in any way, you just talk to us about a white label piece, and we can shift anything around to make it fit your needs. So that feels good. It wasn't like we were far off from that for a long time, but we were kind of like dancing around like the clarity of that kind of ladder. So it feels good.
Yeah.
Good work, everybody. Yeah, I think it makes sense. If somebody told me that didn't make sense, I'd have to go, give me some examples of things that make sense, just so I can see if we're on the same page. So I think that's right.
Yeah, that sounds good. And a quick note here. I know we talked a lot about white label, but the enterprise is much more than just white label. I think white label is the ultimate solution. It's a gourmet solution where you want everything customized and branded for you. But that said, we have a lot of customers who come to us with surveying projects, you know, of different sizes, citywide, countywide, and we also do, you know, custom work, which may not always be a customized site or a customized white label solution, but things like custom data integration and, you know, those are things that we still continue to do. So if you go to Regrid.com/enterprise, you will find different tabs for the different solutions that we offer. So none of that has stopped. We still, you know, we find a way. Go ahead, sorry.
No, it's a good point. We were trying to keep that simple as a bucket, but you're right. I mean, I think it's a necessity of the field that, we get these requests that are like right there at the edge of like, no, I know what you want. Yeah, we can, let's put the right price on it. And those two things, yeah, custom data work and helping like conceive of and manage like field collection are like they're like white label adjacent, right? They're those services that are not fully like a branded site for you, but they're like, all right, let's talk about how to get this done. So you're right; those are important, and they are right there on landgrid.com/enterprise too, so you can find them.
Since we're all spitballing here, can I throw in one idea that we've been thinking about, but we had already started working on, but we didn't get the chance to fully do it nationwide. But we recently worked with one of our customers on 360-degree images that can help in desktop surveying. And never has desktop surveying been more important and more relevant than at a time like this today, where most of our customers who do a lot of surveying are not able to do traditional surveying, like going out there door-to-door surveying or anything else. And at a time like this, being able to survey from your desktop is amazing. What I want to say is, while we don't have 360-degree imagery for all of the country, if you have collected it, then we already have the support and the capabilities to integrate it with our mapping platform so that you can do desktop surveying. So if anybody who's watching this is, has some of this imagery with you, and if your surveying has stalled, please don't hesitate to reach out to us. We'll find a way to work with you, add that to the LandGrid account, and, enable you to survey from home.
That's a good point. That's, it's not that we haven't like thought about it, but you're right. And just to put a point on that for people who are like, I think I kind of know what surveying stuff is. Basically, when we talk about surveying, typically if you do it in person, it's you take the LandGrid app and you're walking up to a property and you're taking a picture and you're tapping through a menu to add data about the property that you see. Is it a house? Is it a store? Is it open? Is it closed? Things of that nature. And so the desktop surveying and the 3D imagery is like being able to sit at your computer and virtually move down the street and do the same thing. Like, here's the image of what's on this parcel. But for my desktop, I'm just kind of looking at the picture and I'm saying similar things like, windows boarded up, the grass is a little bit high, or it's this kind of business and it has traffic inside of it. And that is really great. We used to do a lot more of that. Frankly, we got asked to stop using some of the Street View imagery from a provider that we had. We were kind of like, okay, that's fine. Like, I get it. Like, let's find other sources. So using the mapillary imagery that people collect themselves has been really nice. And I guess the moral is, anybody who has imagery of cities and wants to do a project to tag and add data about those properties and use our tools, that's all set up to do too. And I think that is a really powerful thing that we should probably promote more. You're right, especially now if it's harder to go walking around with other people, unfortunately.
Yeah. So is that all? Okay, maybe we can talk about upcoming updates then. So
we're always down with that. Yeah, it's there's the design process never stops. So what do you want to talk about on those things?
I want to talk about the Puerto Rico data update that's going to happen soon. So Jerry, you have the backstory to it if you want to mention, how we got the data in the first place, and now we're able to update it after all these years.
Well, sure. Just so interesting, I guess, like working in this field, in general, because this kind of parcel level property information we work with it's not like something that most people think about every day. There's definitely professionals who do think about it every single day. It's necessary to their work, but sometimes you kind of like miss it. You're like, why is that important? And I remember we somehow ended up being like one of the only organizations that had parcel level real estate data for Puerto Rico prior to Hurricane Maria. And so when the storm happened and people were rushing to assist and do recovery, we started hearing from like just surprising people asking us for the data, right? Surprising meaning like, U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, the Federal Small Business Administration, like very large insurance companies, because the computers were down in Puerto Rico, and people needed this data to be able to respond and assist in different ways, whether that was like check the commercial properties that were requesting loans, or whether it was going school to school to do condition surveys. And it was one of these situations as a company that reminds us like how powerful the data sets that we have are when we can deploy them to the right people to put them to work. And so we ended up spending a lot of time, numerous trips to Puerto Rico, making local connections, trying to find ways to be useful. We've definitely helped with some small scale property surveying there in addition to the data. And through the relationships that we've developed in Puerto Rico, it now looks like we're able to keep that data set well refreshed. And for whatever reason, that's still a hard thing for people. We still, after the more recent earthquakes, or, we get other questions from people that can't find that data. So anybody who's looking, to do work or assist in Puerto Rico, we definitely have the fresh stuff again now. And, through relationships can hopefully, keep that being the case. And then just shout out to all of our friends and people we know in Puerto Rico too. I was hoping to get back this year in person. I don't think that's going to happen right now, but anyway. So
there still might be towards the end of this year.
Right, we'll see.
Yeah.
But no, that's a good one on Puerto Rico. And then of course, the data team just keeps getting better and faster at refreshes in general, which is awesome. We were going over some stats from the first quarter of the year, and they're just on the tear as far as like how quickly we can update things. So that's super exciting.
It is.
And then what else? What else do we have going on that you guys were kind of like excited about? Not to put you on the spot, even if it's not like like an official project that we're about to release. Is there anything that's like, it's kind of like in the back of your brain for, it's going to be cool when we do that? I know, Nick, we've been talking about some of like the national visualizations or like the larger visualizations. This kind of ties into the insights thing that we have this very rich data set, and we have not really had the time to be like, well, let's look at ownership across the entire country, or land use across the entire country. So some stuff like that is getting me excited now. It's like the kind of thing where I don't know where it fits into the business right now, but it's like, oh crap, like we should do that because we have that, and that's just important to know.
Yeah, I think we're getting perilously close on that front to doing some real outreach around sort of just like looking to see who might be interested in partnering with that stuff. I know that I've talked to both of you guys about it, so I know you're sort of aware of how that's coming forward, but I feel like it is really like interesting. Like we have all this data, and we're also a company that's really interested in sort of like, how can this be used, right? Just in a general like advancement of human knowledge kind of way. And I think it's really interesting. I'm hopeful that as we do some outreach to sort of like philanthropic partners and other people who might be interested and have sort of like the inclination and the chops to really get out and dig into some of this data, I think some fruitful connections might be made, and it would be cool to see.
And I think that it actually ties into white labeling stuff too, in a way, because it's an adjustment to the interface that allows you to look at data over a broader area and just kind of like flip switches or press buttons to like highlight data over a bigger area. So yeah, I think there's a lot that's going to come from white label that we're probably not even like expecting right now. Just being able to move around that interface faster than we have been able to, So
yeah.
Cool. You guys, Nick, is there any way you think that parcel data can help the Cleveland Browns? I was just looking at
No, did you notice the retro
yeah, I like it.
sweater? Yeah, it's work from home day 705, it's to break out. But no, I don't. I don't think it's going to be helpful at all. I think they're going to continue to lose, and it's going to be very sad. But I got this sweater out of it.
With that, we can't do a white label interface where it's like.
No, I don't think they have. They don't have much going for them. But I will say that it means that I can buy this shirt for like $5 in the bargain bin. So I feel like it's not a total loss.
The Lions are right there with you, my friend. So
yeah,
solidarity. So.
All right. What else do we want to chat about?
Oh God, we talked about if we were going to talk about Tiger King, but it was so last week. So I watched the extra. They put out a new episode.
You both are unbelievable. I got so much peer pressure to watch it, and I finally watched it, and I'm ready to be discuss it, and now you guys are like,
we're over it now.
Okay, this is kind of a game changer. I was like, if you want to watch Nick and I opine, so you watched it. So what did you think? And there's not trying to lead the opinion. It's obviously a total kaleidoscope of messed up and like,
it was so messed up. I mean, I was cringing while watching, but I couldn't stop watching. It was just one of those where you're disgusted the whole time. And I didn't want my son watching it, so I would watch it when he's napping. And then, but I can't.
It's cute. Can I watch? No, go far away. Go. I like that man's hair. No, you don't. It's just go.
But I did enjoy seeing those animals, though. Although they were not in a happy place, but they looked majestic.
No, they were not. Actually, so to bring that like series kind of further into the moment of just how crazy things are. So you just kind of think like it wasn't that long ago, kind of like pre-Netflix and digital distributions, where it would take so long to produce something like that, and then it would like premiere in a theater or on TV, and there'd be a lot of distance between the audience and the product. And now literally like right after that ran, they went and they interviewed all the people, minus the Tiger King because he's in jail, but they interviewed, all these other people. And like 3 weeks later got to ask them like, so what impact has this had on your life?
Yeah.
Like, how do you feel about it? The one guy, one of Joe's ex-husbands has new teeth already. They're all showing off. They're like, he was wearing a shirt, he had teeth. And it's like, they're all talking about their life-changing like experiences. And then probably like the cherry on top, and this is controversial and most people were, rightfully kind of disappointed, but there was a call for our president to pardon Joe Exotic. And it actually got asked about by a reporter from the New York Post during a White House press briefing. And it's just phenomenal to think because it's those kinds of new abilities to connect in ways that are healthy and unhealthy and that currently run totally counter to like our ideas of the speeds of institutions that make things so crazy that documentary can get released, new episodes get pushed, and then a request to pardon the main character gets asked about to the president during a pandemic is just, one of those, does it mean, I don't know, is it important to kind of reflect on that things can move with that velocity in which direction? Of course it is.
Sure.
So,
wow. Yeah. Okay. So we finally covered Tiger King too, so I'm okay now. We can stop.
Great. I'm sorry that we weren't more supportive and thinking that you had and more excited after we down that weird alley.
All right. So I just want to add that we'll be back here next Friday with the amazing folks at MakePath and doing a live chat with them this time.
Yes, guests, which I think will be good to like mix it up with more randomness.
Yeah.
Not randomness. I mean, they're like, but like, you know what I mean? Like an element of like, what do you do? Rather than like, I love talking to you guys, but sometimes I think it's like, we know what we're all doing all day.
We talk 5 times.
we're giving a glimpse to others for how we do it, but it'd be nice to have somebody else like hop in here too. So.
Absolutely, for sure. All right, thank you again, guys. I will probably talk to you in 5 minutes.
Yeah, talk to you shortly. Thanks, Nick.
Cool. All right, guys. I'll see you.